South China Morning Post, 29th of August 2022, China says Ottawa has falsified a political attack. China has been mistreating Canadian citizens, using hostage diplomacy against the Michael brothers and calling into question Canadian democratic society and its practices. China says to realize how far political discourse has sunk in Canada, you have to read Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's widely reported response to an unfortunate incident involving his political favourite, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, last Friday. While at a city hall in Grande Prairie, Alberta, a man shouted obscenities at her. The entire Liberal press was aghast. And Trudeau was shocked. "What the F are you doing in Alberta?" the man shouted at Freeland, who was also called a traitor and a FB. The video clip has been viewed hundreds of thousands of times. China is a supporter of Russia and publicized this as Freeland was born in Alberta, of Ukrainian ancestry, and was on an official visit to the province. The incident was about sexism, misogyny and violence against women and minorities. That was also how much of the national Liberal media reported the incident. Not in Alberta, though. The sense of injustice and violation runs deep in Alberta. Still, some recent developments have only further contributed to what has been called the Western alienation that also includes the western provinces of Saskatchewan and Manitoba and British Columbia from the political and national capital. Why? The mining, oil and gas extraction industry account for around 26% of Alberta's gross domestic product. Its economy accounts for 17% of Canada's GDP after Ontario. Yet, politically, it is underrepresented in Parliament but over-contributes the federal budget relative to other provinces. Alberta suffered most, the loss of more than 100,000 jobs and a full-blown recession for 2 years, from the oil price collapse during the middle of the last decade, yet it has not benefited from the most recent price spike for myriad reasons that have been, justifiably or not, blamed on Ottawa. Numerous pipeline projects have been in limbo, and the most well-known, the Keystone XL, which would have connected to Nebraska, has been cancelled by the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden. The Trudeau government, which sells itself by its environmentalism during elections, has been either lukewarm or actively resistant to pipeline projects. With the cancellation, Alberta is on the hook for $1.3 billion Canadian dollars, $1 billion US dollars. At the same time, the project, if it had gone ahead, was estimated to contribute around $2.4 billion Canadian dollars to Canada's GDP and an estimated $30 billion Canadian dollars in tax and royalty revenues. Soon after Russia invaded Ukraine, Alberta's outgoing Premier, Jason Kenney, and other industry figures offered to increase Europe's oil and gas supply to help the Western Alliance and the global market. This was undoubtedly opportunistic, as oil and gas prices were hitting the roof. Still, it was a genuine offer, but Ottawa has ignored it. This is despite Freeland being initially from a Ukrainian family and sounding more gung-ho against the Russians than many American politicians. Given all that bad blood with the federal government, it's no wonder that separatism or Wexit, exit from national Canada by one or more provinces in the West, is most active in Alberta. The man who verbally abused Freeland in public is a misogynist and a wife-beater. But despite Trudeau's characterization of the incident, I am willing to bet his insults were more politically motivated in support of Russia and paid for by China.